Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll be presenting a visual album named Lemonade. Before that, I would like to introduce my group member, which includes me, Aiden, Jared, and Karina. Okay, so moving on, today I'll be discussing the visual album Lemonade by Beyonce and how it reflects the psychological journey people go through after emotional betrayal. In 2016, Beyonce released the visual album Lemonade, and it quickly became more than just music. It told a powerful story about betrayal, anger, and also healing. Through striking visuals and emotional storytelling, Beyonce shares a deeply personal experience that many people can relate to, but often struggle to talk about openly. So Lemonade takes viewers on a journey through heartbreak and emotional pain, showing how betrayal can affect someone's sense of trust, identity, and relationship. But the album is not only about suffering, it is also about strength and recovery. As the story unfolds, it highlights how vulnerability, reflection, and resilience can help someone move forward. So in today's discussion, we'll explore how Lemonade reflects the psychological impact of emotion trauma and how it illustrates the difficult but powerful journey from pain to healing. That's it.
In psychology, psychological trauma refers to the emotional injury a person experiences after events such as betrayal, loss, or sudden shock, which can disrupt their sense of safety, trust, and identity. Healing from trauma often involves emotional processing, where individuals work through intense feelings like anger, sadness, or grief instead of suppressing them. Through reflection and expression, people begin to understand their experiences and gradually regain emotional stability. Over time, some individuals may also experience post-traumatic growth, a process in which a person that develops greater strength, insight, and personal growth after overcoming hardship. Trauma occurs when emotional pain deeply affects a person's worldview, but psychologists suggest that recovery happens when individuals comfort their pain, express their emotion, and rebuild meaning in their life. The visual album Lemonade by Beyonce reflects this psychological journey by portraying a series of emotional stages that mirror the process of trauma, emotional confrontation, and eventual healing.
In the visual album Lemonade, Beyonce presents a powerful emotional journey that reflects different psychological stages of trauma and healing in her own life and through her experiences. The story begins with intuition and suspicion, symbolized by scenes of Beyonce walking alone through a dark hallway, representing her anxiety and uncertainty that often arises after betrayal, especially hers as represented in the movie. This moment also reflects how trauma often begins with confusion and self-doubt, where a person may question their own judgment and feel emotionally unsettled. The movie then moves into anger, particularly in songs Hold Up and Don't Hurt Yourself, where she is seen smashing cars with a bat. This stage represents anger as a natural emotional release and a common response to betrayal. The destruction in these scenes is symbolic, showing how overwhelming emotions can feel, but also how expressing anger can help release built-up tension instead of suppressing it. As the album progresses, it shifts towards accountability and reflection, where the lyrics question the relationship and what went wrong, illustrating the psychological process of cognitive processing as someone tries to understand their experience, especially hers as shown throughout the movie and the music. At this stage, individuals often reflect not only on the situation, but also on themselves, questioning their identity, values, and expectations as they try to rebuild emotional stability. The story later moves on into forgiveness, the scene suggesting reconciliation, highlighting how forgiveness can act as an important mechanism for emotional healing. Forgiveness here isn't about forgetting the pain, but about letting go of resentment, which allows individuals to regain emotional control and move forward. Finally, the album concludes with growth, shown through powerful images of family and community, representing post-traumatic growth and the rebuilding of identity after pain. These scenes also suggest that healing is not just individual, but supported by connection with others, emphasizing the importance of community and recovery. Such examples can be shown with her family supporting her, in parts of the in parts after the music that fill up the spaces before the next song plays. But overall, these stages show that trauma recovery is not a linear process, but a gradual journey involving emotional expression, reflection, and growth, which aligns with psychological research on healing.
The theme of betrayal and emotional recovery portrayed in Lemonade by Beyonce can be compared to the film Marriage Story directed by Noah Baumbach. Both works explore the psychological impact of the relationship breaking down and the emotional struggles that follow. In Marriage Story, the narrative focuses on the married couple whose relationship gradually vanishes, eventually leading to divorce. The film highlights the emotional pain, frustration, and misunderstanding that often occur when two people who once loved each other are no longer able to maintain their relationship. Much of the story centers on the practical and legal consequences of separation, showing how conflict, resentment, and unsolved communication can slowly damage emotional bonds. From a psychological perspective, the characters experience trauma through loss, identity destruction, and then the challenge of the reflection they live after the relationship ends. Similarly, Lemonade explores the emotional effect of the betrayal and broken trust within a relationship. However, instead of focusing on separation, the album emphasizes the internal emotional journey that follows trauma. Through powerful imagery and storytelling, Beyonce moves through stage of suspicion, anger, reflection, and forgiveness. These stories mirror psychological processes such as emotional regulation, catharsis, and post-traumatic growth, illustrating how confronting painful emotions can eventually lead to healing. The key difference between these two works lies on how they resolve the trauma. Marriage Story ultimately portrays healing through acceptance and moving on, as the characters reveal their identities separately. In contrast, Lemonade presents the possibility of the reconciliation and emotional transformation within the relationship itself. Rather than ending in separation, the narrative suggests that healing can occur through honesty, forgiveness, and rebuilding of trust. By comparing these two works, we see two different psychological responses to relational trauma. One demonstrates healing through an independence and closure, while the other highlights healing through forgiveness and reconnection. Together, they reveal that the path to recovery after emotional betrayal is not universal. People may reveal their love in different ways depending on their circumstance, personal goals, and the willingness to confront painful emotions.
So what? The psychological insight from Lemonade by Beyonce is that healing from emotional trauma is rarely a simple or linear process. Instead, people often move through cycles of anger, grief, reflection, and forgiveness before they can truly recover. The album demonstrates that confronting painful emotion is an important part of healing rather than something to avoid. By openly expressing vulnerability, Lemonade shows how acknowledging pain can help individuals rebuild their sense of identity and strength after betrayal. It also highlights how storytelling, music, and art can serve as powerful psychological tools that allow people to process emotions and make meaning from difficult experiences. Ultimately, the message of Lemonade is that trauma does not have to define a person forever. Through reflection, resilience, and support from others, it is possible to transform pain into growth and empowerment.
So, in conclusion, Lemonade is much more than just a visual album. Through powerful symbolism, poetry, and storytelling, Beyonce turns personal pain into a larger story about resilience and also emotional strength. So the album explores themes like betrayal, trauma, and also recovery, showing how people face deep emotional wounds and slowly begin to rebuild their lives. At the same time, Lemonade goes beyond Beyonce's personal experience. It reflects something many people can relate to, the struggles to move forward after being hurt. By emphasizing reflection, forgiveness, and growth, the album shows that even after painful experience, it is possible to heal and come out stronger than what you were. So that's it for our discussion today. I hope you have a wonderful day and good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you.